Hello, everyone. Hi, Jenny. Thanks for joining me. Sorry, I've had some technical difficulties. You can still, let's see. And I'm still trying to get it together. Oh, boy, oh, boy. How are you, Jenny? How was your week? Okay. I wonder, how do I pin? Can I pin this comment? Oh, good. Same here. Yeah. Hi, Rita. Hey, girl, I haven't seen you. Let's see. We are going on lots of work. Yes, definitely. Definitely lots of work. So you see the title. There was a Dutch TV show that put naked trans people in front of children. So if you want to come over to YouTube to see this, I highly suggest you do. I'm going to put my info down here in the box. Let's see, in the comments. So you guys can come and see. Hello, Instagram. How is everyone? Okay. Hey, Brett. How are you? How's those babies and that wife? Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys this. I would suggest come over to YouTube if you care to see this because it's quite crazy. Hey, Larry. Definitely Darla Mullen. You're feeding them right now. Nice. All right, let me show you guys this. It's quite insane.
Welkom bij Gewoon Bloot. In Gewoon Bloot gaan volwassen mensen geheel uit de
Adults
kleren
get undressed so that we can learn something
Deze
about
kinderen uit
them.
groep 7 en 8
These
mogen
kids,
aan
10
hen
and 12, get the
alles vragen
opportunity to
over
ask
hun
them
blote
questions
lichaam.
about their
En
naked
vandaag hebben
body.
we als gasten
And today our
transgenders.
guest transgender.
Het gaat echt om het gevoel wat je van binnen hebt.
Ja,
They
en dat
take off their
gevoel, dat
clothes.
kan je gewoon hebben, maar daar kan je ook iets mee doen, zoals ik ook een operatie
So
heb
this
gedaan,
is a
maar je
girl
kan
who's
ook
had her
transgender
flesh
zijn
off,
en geen
off.
operaties ondergaan. Die heb ik
As
wel
you can
wat
see,
in
there's
mijn
something
broek,
in my
maar
underpants,
ik
but I
heb nog
still have
steeds
a vulva.
een
This is
vulva
supposedly
en daar voel ik me niet prettig bij.
a guy.
Ik poseer in mijn boxer.
Hey, Michelle. Hi.
Vaginaplastie.
En wat betekent dat?
Dat je dus zeg maar van het mannengeslacht...
That you surgery. Y'all,
ja, je laat
this
dus
is
omhouden naar
insane.
vrouwengeslacht.
Op het eerste
Hey,
moment denk
Jeremiah.
je, en op het tweede moment denk je, oh, het is eigenlijk best normaal. Ja, eigenlijk gewoon heel normaal.
Dus het is niet alleen
They're
per se
saying this
alleen
is
man,
normal.
man, een vrouw, vrouw. Daartussen zit gewoon ontzettend veel. Nadat je een operatie hebt.
So the host asked, how did you feel after seeing the surgeries?
Ken je het woord euforisch?
Oh, no, I'm
Nee,
sorry.
dat is echt
After the
heel
surgeries,
blij.
they're saying they
Echt
felt
heel
so
blij.
good.
Ik werd wakker en ik wist dat ik geen borsten meer had, dat het plat was, dat het was zoals
You're
ik
so sweet.
altijd
You're a pretty girl.
gebeeld,
You
zoals ik
look
van binnen voel.
gorgeous.
Ik was echt tot het plafond, zeg maar door het plafond.
This is
Een
insane.
soort van dat je vliegt.
Ja,
Ja, je bent echt gewoon super blij. Hè?
Dat wil ik ook.
So if you were able to see this, Jeremiah, yes, it is weird. There were Dutch transgender people. They took their clothes off and they were talking about how their surgeries were just like fantastic. Oh, I feel like I had this euphoric feeling. I just felt like, my life will never be the same. I'm just so great. I'm just so ecstatic. Everything is so great and wonderful. This is again, so this was in the Dutch people did this. So this was not in America, but I don't think it's crazy to say that this would not this if this continues how it's going, that it wouldn't be in America one day. I wouldn't venture to say that. Jeremiah says, who thought this was a good idea? Exactly. Well, the Dutch people thought it was a good idea. I would be really curious to know what their laws are, what their, like, yes, Rita, they do need God. I would be really curious to see like what was their progress. I wonder if they have the same type of progress that America has. Yes. You know what? Let me just play it again, Michelle, so you can see. So Michelle just jumped over from Instagram. Let me just play this again because people need to see this. This is what we're up against. This is where America's going if we don't stop this foolishness. Let me just play this again.
Welkom bij Gewoon Bloot. In Gewoon Bloot gaan volwassen mensen geheel uit de kleren, zodat wij er wat van kunnen leren. Deze kinderen uit groep 7 en 8 mogen aan hen alles vragen over hun blote lichaam. En vandaag hebben we als gasten transgenders. Het gaat echt om het gevoel wat je van binnen hebt.
Ja, en dat gevoel, dat kan je gewoon hebben, maar daar kan je ook iets mee doen, zoals...
So they're telling the kids, like, it's a feeling that you
maar
can
je
do
kan ook
something about.
transgender zijn en geen operaties ondergaan.
Zie heb ik wel wat in mijn broek, maar ik heb nog steeds een vulva. En daar voel ik me niet prettig bij. En vandaar dat ik dan poseer in mijn boxer met mijn pekker erin.
Vaginaplastie.
En wat betekent dat?
Dat je dus zeg maar van het mannengeslacht, ja, je laat het dus ombouwen naar het vrouwelijk geslacht.
Op het eerste moment denk je, huh? En op het tweede moment denk je, oh, het is eigenlijk best normaal. Ja, eigenlijk gewoon heel normaal.
Dus het is niet alleen per se alleen man en vrouw. Daartussen zit gewoon ontzettend veel. Nadat je een operatie hebt gehad. Anne-Chris, hoe voel je dat?
Ken je het woord euforisch?
Nee.
Oké, dat is echt heel blij. Echt heel blij. Ik werd wakker en ik wist dat ik
It's
geen
so
borst meer
crazy.
had, dat het plat was.
We're watching the
Zoals ik
video
altijd
about the trans
gedeeld
people
was op
showing
mijn
their
gevoel.
naked bodies
Ik
to
was echt
children
tot
on
plafond
Instagram.
en zeg maar door
I
plafond
say come over to
Het is een soort
YouTube.
van dat je vliegt.
Ja.
Ja, je bent dan gewoon super blij. Ja,
Dat wil ik ook.
So yeah, I was showing it again because I wanted people to see what is actually happening. This is what happens when you let things like this go on and on and on, and you don't do anything about it. These people are standing in front of children. They are naked standing in front of children, and they've had surgeries. And so the women are up there, with those scars across their breast. And I'm sorry. The women are up there with the scars across their breasts, like pretending to be men. And then the men are up there and they're like, yeah, I have a vulva, but it's clearly a man. And Jenny says, this is child abuse. I cannot believe how many people are on board with doing this to children. It is child abuse. I certainly believe that this is child abuse. Yeah. Because there's no way that you can be in your right mind. It's just like saying if we saw a parent beating a child. Yes, that's their parent, but they're still doing harm to children. And when even parents do harm to children, legitimate harm. The problem is today that Americans seem to think that doing harm to kids is not you're doing harm to them when you say, you know what, Johnny, you are a boy. And that's good. God made you that way. Instead of encouraging them to love themselves, we're now as Americans encouraging them to be something that they're not. And check this, but tell them that they are being more them by being someone else. Make that make sense. You're going to be more yourself by being somebody else. It doesn't make any sense on any level. It makes no sense. But this is what this is what things have come to because we have not done what we have needed to do when it comes to raising children. And just a side note before we get more into this, there is this idea. So I've been going, I'm on Twitter. So if you want to follow me there, I'm Keisha K on Twitter. And there are people there who will say, I'm really not on the right. I'm really not on the left. I'm just going to be, kind of neutral. But I would pose to you that if you're neutral at this time, I don't think that's honorable. What about you guys? I do not think it's honorable to not I don't think it's honorable to pretend like there aren't clear sides. I guess that's the best way to say it. There are clear sides. It is not, and you know what? The thing that it's men doing this. I see a lot of men that are like, well, I call it out on the left and I call it out on the right. I'm all for I call out the right too. I am all for calling out the right. But when you have this kind of stuff, and you see what they're doing to the former president, Donald Trump, when you see clear abuse of power, I don't want to hear all that, people are crazy. Oh, it's both sides. I mean, this is ridiculous. I think this whole, I'm just going to be neutral. I'm just going to be, in between. I think that is why we have the problems that we have today, because we have had so many people that are saying, oh, well, it's just, I'm just going to be in the middle. I'm just going to be, I'm not going to pick a side. I'm not saying that everybody has to be a Republican, and I'm certainly not saying, and I'm not saying that everybody has to be a Christian. I would highly advise you be a Christian. Yes, Michelle, it is insanity. Yeah, it's insanity. But the Bible does say, be hot or cold, because if you're lukewarm, I will spew you out of my mouth. Now, that's what the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords say, and that the creator of the universe. I will certainly place my hat with the creator of the universe than people who say, well, I'm just going to be in between. People being in between is why we have communists running this country, why we have a whole cult running this country. And I know people will say, thank you, Lady Phoenix. I'm not having it. I am sick of it. I am sick of the lukewarm Americans, because the left is full steam ahead. Did y'all hear about in North Carolina, there was a Democrat who she said she could no longer, she was just voted in, and she said, you know what, I can no longer be a Democrat. So she has flipped over to the Republicans. And they were asking her, like, well, what was it that prompted you to make this move? And she said, it kind of started when I was posting the American flag and prayer hands, like for our country. And she said my own party was coming against me, talking about, why are you posting the American flag and praying? She's like, when did the left, yes, Angel, they were like, when did the left become a party where you could not have freedom of thought? Well, I would venture to say that it's been that way for a very long time. It's just being more publicized now. They're just being more dogmatic about it. And that is why I unapologetically call them a cult, because they do cult stuff. They do cult things. Brett says, I saw that she left the Florida Democrats on abortion. That's what I thought. I didn't hear the whole story. But so she said they don't have a bill quite yet. But when it does come up, if and when it does come up, then, she's going to search her heart, and she's going to, I think, what I got from this this woman, this lawmaker, was that she had an encounter with the Lord. That's what I don't know, but I don't know, but that's what I got from it. And oh yes, Angel, let me do that for you. Thank you so much. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I got. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. I think she had an encounter with the Lord. That's what I think. That's what I think. And so yeah. Speaking of transgenders and the left being absolutely crazy, let's watch from our United States podium the speaker, not the speaker, my goodness, the press secretary, the affirmative action hire press secretary. Listen to what she says. This is unbelievable, y'all. I hope y'all can hear this on Instagram because this is nuts.
Families peacefully protesting for action on gun safety. The fact that this vote is happening is shocking, undemocratic, and without precedent. Across Tennessee and across America, our kids are paying the price for the actions of Republican lawmakers who continue to refuse to take action on stronger gun laws. The president will continue to call on Congress to take action to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require safe storage of firearms, eliminate gun manufacturers' immunity from liability, and require background checks for all gun sales. And state officials must do the same. This has been one of the worst weeks of 2023 so far in terms of anti-LGBTQ bills becoming law in states across America. 3 anti-LGBTQ laws have been enacted so far this week in Kansas, Indiana, and Idaho. Just yesterday, the North Dakota Senate passed 10 anti-LGBTQ bills in just one day, a single day record. In Kansas, the state legislation overrode Governor Kelly's veto to make Kansas the 20th state that has banned transgender kids from participating in schools.
So Kansas is banning transgender
With the
kids from
enactment of a new law in
affirmed.
Indiana, 14 states have now banned gender affirming healthcare, while some of these laws are currently blocked by courts. This is a dangerous
It is
attack
now dangerous
on the
to
rights
not
of
affirm
parents to
children.
make the best healthcare decisions for their own kids. According to the Human Rights Campaign,
Yes,
more than 50% of transgender youth in the US, which is estimated to be more than 150,000 kids, live in states in which transgender youth have lost access to or at risk of losing access to gender affirming care. Look, this is awful news. Let's be very clear about that. LGBTQI plus kids are resilient. They are fierce. They fight back. They're not going anywhere. And we have their back. This administration has their back.
Y'all, this lady, this administration is absurd. This is absurd. These people are saying that it is okay to mutilate your children, to cut off their healthy breast. This is why I've advocated so hard to get your kids out of these public schools. I call them indoctrination camps. This is where the left likes to, this is their sanctuary. This is where the cult comes to indoctrinate your children. You don't believe me? Look at what all of these children that all of a sudden have suddenly arrived at finding out that they are transgender. I mean, this thing has skyrocketed, just catapulted out of control. If you have a short window of time to get your children educated, when you're sending them to these indoctrination camps, they're not getting educated. They're getting indoctrinated. And then some of us, but I'm sorry. Okay. Some of us will then send our children to the university to codify that indoctrination, to get them further indoctrinated. It's absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And I know that homeschooling is on the rise. I mean, me personally, I think homeschooling is the best option because I don't trust, at this point, I really don't trust any of these people. I don't trust none of them. I don't trust anybody to educate my children anymore, or school. I certainly don't trust them to school because that's what the public education system is. It's schooling. It's not education. And the charter schools, especially the classical charters, that would be my first pick. If you are looking to get into a charter, if you are looking to pull your kids out of public and go to a charter, I would highly recommend a classical charter school if you cannot homeschool. The other schools, I mean, you have to keep a very watchful eye. Private and just typical regular charters. But I mean, it's out of control. Lady Phoenix Gray says, if I ever have kids, I'd homeschool. There's no way I'd risk it, at least not until I know I've taught them how to think critically and question everything. Yes. And even then, the brainwashing takes no time. So I doubt I'd be comfortable with it even then. It's really true, because you have to understand it's in the classrooms, and they're there 7 to 8 hours a day, plus all around society. It's on social media. It's in the corporations. It's in, you have the people just around you, just going about your everyday life. And so it's really, really important. These are our children. It's not a game. The left has always been a very domineering force. They were the party of slavery. They were the party of Jim Crow. They have always had an appeal to a slave type state, to having control over people. They've always kind of geared themselves that way. Now they have embraced full-on communism, because they don't just believe that, okay, they believe in enlarging the state. They believe that the state should have the power. And the progressive wing of the Democrat Party has taken over that party. Contemplating taking mine out. He knows better than to follow these fools, but just in case. Listen, Jenny, you should. I mean, let me tell you guys, my oldest daughter, I pulled her out. She tested at a fifth. I pulled her out in ninth grade. She tested at a fifth grade math level in ninth grade in a public school. And this was supposed to be one of the better schools. In 5 months, 2 days a week, at the end of that school year, she tested at a 10th grade math level. She was doing work on a 10th grade math level in 5 months, 2 days a week. That's how you know that they're not really educating kids. They are not really educating kids. Nina McCann says, how do we fight for our country? You start speaking, you start speaking up, you start talking to, yes, Jenny, thank you so much. You start talking to your friends and family. You start showing them what is happening, because people, they don't want to believe it. And I get it. I wouldn't want to believe it either. I would never have believed it I wouldn't want to believe it, but it's happening, and you can't ignore it. And what they're getting, the American education system was never meant to educate. The American schooling system was never meant to educate. It was meant to make minions of the state. That's why I highly suggest homeschool. Let's see. Lady Phoenix says, I saw, let's see. What was that? She says, I saw a video of a professor show his students how easily he could make them question their own instincts without them ever knowing. And it was eye-opening. Yes, you know what? I have that. Where do I have it though? Let's see. Let me show you guys this. Thank you, Lady Things. I'm so happy you said that because I was supposed to talk about that and I forgot about it. Watch this, y'all. Where is it? Let me see here. This is going to blow your mind. It's going to show you just how easily you can be deceived. Actually, I have it already on Instagram, so I can show you guys here while I find it on
Despite what you might be thinking,
there you go.
These two circles are not equal. I repeat, these two circles are not equal. One is in fact larger than the other. What I need you to do is determine which one that is. So, please raise your hand if you believe the blue circle is larger than the red. All right. Please raise your hand if you believe the red circle is larger than the blue. All right, very good. Now, before I said anything about these two circles, what was your first instinct? Equal, right? Because they look equal. And the reason why they look equal is because, in fact, they are equal. These two circles are identical. Yet I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what did we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instinct. Just imagine as a child, you're taught that the blue circle is larger than the red. If you say it enough times, you convince yourself that's the truth. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are taught that lie, that the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes the truth. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes tradition. Information along to the next generation, well, now.
You see that, guys? Okay, I found it. Let me show you guys this here on YouTube. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. I'm trying to work them both. All right, let's see. Look at this. Watch this.
Thinking. These two circles are not equal. I repeat, these two circles are not equal. One is in fact larger than the other. What I need you to do is determine which one that is. So, please raise your hand if you believe the blue circle is larger than the red. All right. Please raise your hand if you believe the red circle is larger than the blue. All right, very good. Now, before I said anything about these two circles, what was your first instinct? Equal, right? Because they look equal. And the reason why they look equal is because, in fact, they are equal. These two circles are identical. Yet I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what did we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instincts. Just imagine as a child, you're taught that the blue circle is larger than the red. If you say it enough times, you convince yourself that's the truth. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are taught that lie, that the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes tradition. And what we have to remember is that just because we have a tradition doesn't mean it's morally acceptable. Tradition and morality are not always the same. I mean, can you think of any traditions that we once had in the United States of America that we no longer have?
You see that? How many of you think that you would have passed the test? Like, how many people think that you would have been bold enough to say, no, they're equal? I would hope that I would have, but I don't know. You know, because people like to think people in cults and people that have been, have gone through thought reform experiments and stuff like that. You know, a lot of times we'll say, well, oh my gosh, how could you be so stupid? You know, how could you fall for such a thing? Well, a lot of these people are very intelligent. A lot of these people are they're not stupid. They come from good families. They don't have any weird type of thing. They just were hit at the right time. And they are the cult leaders are very, very skilled at bringing people into their cult. That's why the Democrat Party, who I now call a communist cult, and I truly believe that they are, and like I say, I am writing about this. It's very disturbing how aligned, how true this is. Yes, MK, your first thought was that they were equal till you challenged my thought. Exactly. People are they're not stupid. And the Democrat communist cult, they have been working at perfecting this of bringing people in for decades. That's why Black Americans are so brainwashed by this, because they know the moment you say the word racist, it's like you go into this robotic trance that it literally controls you. Hey, Fifth Ward. Oh, thank you so much. I'm good. How are you? This is Lady Finger says this is one reason why so many people we're dealing with today are actually somewhat dangerous to a degree. They fully believe. Thank you. Yes. That's why I'm like screaming this. I know people think what I'm saying right now is hyperbolic, and that's okay. But I have been researching and reading about this since 2017, because when I first came into the conservative ideas, and I started to understand, okay, like Democrats, these are not my people. Like, I don't understand, like, why am I voting for these people? A lot of you guys have already heard my story. I won't go into it right now. But when I started to ask people who were Christians, I'm talking about long-standing Christians, Bible believing, church on every Sunday, not new baby Christians. I'm talking about Christians for decades, and asking them, how do you reconcile your belief with abortion, homosexual, all the stuff that the Democrats push? And they would rather support the party rather than their faith. That was my first clue. This is not just support for a party. You have crossed over into something else. This is not just, oh, I support the Democrats because, they just align with what I believe. No. When you can put this before Christians, and they would rather forcefully, fiercely defend Democrats and all of this foolishness, or here's the line. This is the line that I cannot stand. Well, I don't like that part. No. You don't get to, when you check that box, you're voting for the whole thing. You don't get to say, well, I want the welfare stuff. I don't like the trans stuff. No, because they ain't even hardly talking about welfare. It's abortion, homosexuality, transgender. It's straight up and down evil. That's what they're pushing. Thank you, Angel. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yes, guys, please like the show. Please subscribe. Please do all the things. I'm so terrible with that. True. I left my church when it went woke. I left mine too when it went woke. I refuse. I could hear, this was before 2020. I can hear the rumblings. Bye, Michelle. Okay, thanks for jumping on. I really appreciate it. I love you, girl. Talk to you soon. I can hear the rumblings. I can hear it in the sermons. It just all of a sudden changed, and I chucked them deuces, because what I will not do is sit under a ministry and listen to this foolishness. I refuse to sit under foolishness, and I show enough. I'm not going to let my children have that type of spirit that will be pouring into them. Absolutely not. Won't do it. T Ham says that's why I stopped going to church. I still haven't found a church home. I mean, I do why I'm bedside Baptist these days. I've been watching church from the TV, just or just watching ministers. And honestly, what I've been doing is reading my Bible. I've been reading my Bible for myself because I just don't, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Let's take a look at the pulpit, what the pulpit has been up to lately. Look at this. Look at this. You guys on Instagram, y'all gonna have to come over here to YouTube because me trying to I am not like the pro. Y'all know my friend Blanche. He does that so well. He can listen. I'm not there yet. So come over to YouTube. It's pinned in the comments. But watch this. Look at this, y'all. Let me see. It's a pastor. This is some foolishness. This is after in the wake. Okay, y'all, watch this. Watch this foolishness. Look at how they're disrespecting the house of the Lord. Look at this.
What especially angers me is that some of these self-proclaimed allies and advocates know there are people out there who are just waiting for another excuse to justify their hatred. In their recording of Jesus' journey to the cross, the author makes a point of saying that the chief priests and the whole council were looking for false testimony against Jesus so that they might put him to death. Those leaders were looking for any excuse, valid or not, to crucify Jesus. This week, we witnessed yet another mass shooting, roughly the 130th this year, this time at a small private school in Nashville, Tennessee. And instead of focusing on ways this could have been prevented, such as gun control, a significant number of people have turned their attention toward the shooter's identity. Instead of focusing on the fact that the number one cause of child death in this country is now gunshot wounds. Some folks have chosen to focus on eradicating trans people as a solution because they have been waiting, just waiting for an opportunity such as this. They have been waiting for a reason, any reason, to stoke their hatred.
Not talking about the little children.
Today's gospel readings take us on a journey from Jesus' entry into Jerusalem on a donkey to his crucifixion and death on a cross and burial. There's a lot packed into these readings.
Exactly.
And they're quite long. But there is one paragraph I find particularly striking. It was a pretty long text, so I'll read the passage again for you. While Jesus was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "The one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him." At once he came up to Jesus and said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you are here to do." Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and arrested him. Suddenly, one of those with Jesus put his hand on his sword, drew it, and struck the slave of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Then Jesus said to him, "Put your sword back into its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled which say it must happen this way. At that hour, Jesus said to the crowds, "Have you come out with swords and clubs to arrest me as though I were a bandit? Day after day I sat in the temple teaching, and you did not arrest me. But all this has taken place so that the scriptures of the prophets may be fulfilled." Then all the disciples
I'm
deserted
just going to
him
speed this up a
and
little
fled
bit.
to a protest or two. But then when push comes to shove, suddenly their hands are tied and they can't do anything. The disciples were afraid to even to save face, justify their hatred. In their recording of Jesus' journey to the cross, the author of indignity was so very threatening to their own reputation that they needed to kill him in order to preserve their good image. It's baffling to me that someone's existence can be so threatening that people decide they need to be controlled, that they need to have laws made against them, or even worse, that the people that they find to be so threatening should die. There are a significant number of people who have deemed that the fact that the Nashville shooter happened to be a trans person, so it's been reported, is just the excuse they need to call for the eradication of trans folks. Rather than focusing on the fact that we have a serious gun violence problem that continues to go unaddressed, rather than focusing on the fact that six more people are dead, rather than focusing on the fact that those staff and children should have been safe in that school, or focusing on the fact that children do not feel safe in their own schools, rather than focusing on any of this, they have decided they need to cause more harm. This isn't a new phenomenon. It's been happening. It's been happening in this country for many, many years.
This lady is crazy. This is what I'm talking about. She is so dedicated to the party, the cult, that thing, that she will stand in a pulpit and condone and compare Jesus to the trans person. I mean, it's just, and there, you know, that there's no God that's residing in this one. And I hate to be like, I try to be very careful about, condemning people to, who's saved, who's not, but the Bible does say, you have to look at people's fruit, what they bear. There is no conviction in this woman. She is literally standing in the pulpit and saying these things. She actually wrote this before she took her behind up there to say it. At no point was there conviction in her heart that said, you know what, this don't actually feel right. This doesn't actually, there's nothing, there was nothing in her. So that, I mean, where is the Holy Spirit? Where is the Holy Spirit with that? I don't think that it's there. I really don't. And I mean, it's just disgusting, quite honestly, that, she would have the nerve to walk her behind up there and compare the trans shooter and talk about and saying that the people who are saying, like, look at this person, this trans person, look what they did to these children. I mean, I don't give a doggone at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the person's trans. It just matters that they are there killing people and children. I mean, that's what it's about. But the fact that you have, here come the cult members, the fact that you have Democrats who will say, no, we have to pay attention to the trans shooter because they're under attack. I mean, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. The Blaze TV logo was on there. Oh yeah. Oh yes. This was no. This is Blaze TV was just showing the insanity of it. That wasn't sponsored by Blaze. It was just showing Blaze. They were saying how crazy she is. Let's see her compassion. MK Hogblum says her compassion was fully misdirected. Yeah, truly. 2-5 Love says, bye Larry. 2-5 Love says, I'm your spiritual guide. I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, I am just beyond with these people. Finally, here's the last one, guys. We're going to look at I just want you to see this so you can see what indoctrination can really do to you. Listen to these people. Look at what they're saying. There is no logic there. You know, the Bible says where there is, I'm misquoting, but the Bible says where there was no wisdom, there's no God, something like that. But you know that these people have no God because they have no wisdom. They have no logic. They have no reason. Listen, just listen. This is going to, it literally gets you get to go into the mind of these crazy trans people. Let's take a look. So this is Matt Walsh, and he's asking question to this trans person. Listen.
Hi, Matt. I'm transgender. I'm born and raised here in New Mexico. I have a graduate degree in information technology, marketing, business, and finance. I own my own home. I pay taxes. I have a 6-figure job. I'm a respected professional in Albuquerque.
Nobody cares.
I'm a mother. My life experience is that I'm an awesome person. I am well-liked. I'm responsible, and I think I'm pretty cool. You touched on something. You said something earlier that for you, when somebody calls you a man, it doesn't faze you because, like, you just know that you're a man. That was interesting to me because I feel the same way about my identity as a woman. My question leading up to this, you've asserted that no one would ever see me as a woman, that nobody would ever see or could see a transgender person as a woman. And yet, I have dozens of friends from diverse backgrounds, women from the reservation, a woman from Japan, several immigrant women. I have my coworkers, I have my boss, my VP, my CEO, all respecting me as a woman, my family, my long-term friends who are actually here with me. All of these people assure me, like, I'm a woman. They'll tell me, girl, like, there is no way you are a man. They see me as a woman. So the question, how can you assert that nobody would ever see me as a woman when my material experience tells me you're wrong?
Okay. It's interesting that that's the part of my talk you chose to ask a question about, because that's not in my talk at all. I don't believe I said that no one would ever see you as a woman. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, that you could fool someone. Now, you brought this up, so I have to tell you that you brought this up. You've put your identity on the table for conversation.
Yeah, you did.
And so I'm going to say you wouldn't fool me at all. I mean,
not me
100%.
either. You look like a home man.
And I think that most people would.
She looks like
now,
a home.
The fact that you have people in your life who are saying to you, "Oh, you're totally a woman," it's exactly what I'm talking about. No one in my life has ever once said to me, "You're totally a man, Matt." You know, if a friend of mine called me on the phone and said, "Listen, Matt, I want you to know you're really a man," I would think that there was something wrong with him. I would say, why are you saying that at all? It doesn't make any sense. So the fact that this is a conversation to begin with tells me, it only proves the point that I'm trying to make, that your identity, even in your own mind, is up for, it's something that you need to be assured of. Now, what I would like to ask you, again, because you're standing here, and so you've brought your identity on the table for discussion. So how did you How do you know that you're a woman?
It was first when I heard transgender persons describe their experience in their own words. And this was only about 2 years ago.
Guys, make sure you're liking.
Hearing somebody describe things,
really
it was a
helps.
woman from like England describing her experience, her childhood, her teenage years. And it blew my mind to be listening to her, because it was just some podcast that I was listening to while I was like doing laundry. But it blew my mind to hear somebody so eloquently and precisely describe things that I had experiences
What
that
was
I
the
had
description?
experienced.
What did they say?
Okay. So
Okay, listen. You went to trans people to affirm that you was trans. To help you figure out what a woman. You went to non-women people to bolster your belief that you was a woman. I mean, I'm just like, it's just the level of indoctrination is unfreaking believable. Now, this man has degrees. If you go to school and you come out of school after paying probably $80, $90, $100,000, and you think with everything in you that you are not the sex that you were born, you need a refund, because you got shammed, you got duped, you got played, you got bamboozled. Nobody goes into an institution knowing that they are a man or a woman and then come out and thinking that they can be something else, and then actually believing and demanding that people call you the opposite sex. You got played.
So I am honestly hesitant. I know that you touched earlier about the difficulty that transgender women might have in describing their identity, but I want to state, I honestly don't feel that you would engage in this conversation in good faith.
Then why are you here? Why did you stand up to talk to me if you don't want to have a conversation? You're saying that you discovered that you're a woman. I'm asking you how you did. That's a very fair question.
Okay.
How do you know that you're a woman?
That's fine.
Yeah, how do you
All
know?
right. So first of all, listening to transgender people, and it was like, okay, this is a one-off, one person describing these things. Things like looking at yourself in the mirror and not recognizing yourself. Hearing compliments like, you are such an example, like a positive masculine role model. And just hearing that and being like, it feels like they're talking about somebody else.
I love listening. Thank you.
It means feeling alone, even when you're surrounded by guys, even when you have a lot of friends. And I was active in like Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. I had great masculine role models my whole life. And yet I never felt like I belonged. I felt welcome and included.
Why does that make you a woman?
Because
as opposed to just a man who doesn't get along with some other men, or a man who's depressed, or a man who doesn't feel at home totally in his body, which, by the way, is a pretty universal human experience. Everybody goes through it at one time or another. So in what way does that make you a woman, though? And it's interesting. You're telling me that you listen to the experiences of other transgender people.
Well, yeah.
But what about women?
So
because trans women are women, you would say, right?
I would say that. Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then why do you need to hear the testimony of trans, quote unquote, trans?
This man said trans people, trans women are exactly the same as women. But you can't even tell me what a woman is. This stuff is real. I mean, it really pisses me off, because being a woman, having daughters, and you see these men slap on a wig and put on some lipstick, and now they are supposedly women. It's just such a disrespect to women, to real women. And thank you, MK. Thank you so much. It's so disrespectful. Jerry, he's just funny. But he believes this. He believes this stuff. this is a level. You would think that the feminists, all the women, all the people that have been coming out saying believe all women, all the Me Too's and all of the things, you would think that they would be coming out in force. Like, hold up, y'all tripping. Like, no, you're a man. But you know what this is? And this is what I used to tell people a long time ago. Nobody wanted to believe me. This is part of critical race theory. Critical race theory says that no matter what, America is intrinsically racist. And that if you are a part of the dominant society, that you are the oppressor. And that everyone else who is not a part of that, you're oppressed. So you have the oppressor, if you're white, heterosexual, male, Christian, you're the oppressor, right? Anybody else, particularly minorities, you are oppressed. But here's the other part of critical race theory that gets overlooked: intersectionality. So Kimberly Crenshaw came in and was like, well, we have to add to critical race theory, which is a communist Marxist ideology. They said that there are levels to this. There's a hierarchy. So if you're a Black man, you're less of an oppressed person to a Black woman. If you are a woman, if you're a trans woman, that's why a trans woman is the ultimate oppressed, a Black trans woman. You see how that works? So what? So these men are now slapping on wigs and saying, "Oh, let me swim on your team. Let me put on all these things, and I'm going to get out of this oppressor category." It's insane. This is insane, but this is intersectionality. If you want to go look it up, that's what it is. It's called intersectionality. This is how communism works. Lady says, note that the lawyer made a great point. The simple fact is that puberty cannot be reversed, nor can the benefits of it gained by biological males. Puberty, it can't. These are permanent. When they start taking those puberty blockers and all that stuff, it cannot be reversed. It is what it is. You are permanently damaging yourself. And some of these young women do not know, and young men do not know if they will ever even have children. But these things come from communism, because communism says you have to agitate the margins, get the margins, meaning the oppressed people. You have to aggravate and irritate them, get them into the mainstream so that all the laws and rules of your society and your traditions can be torn down, and then they can be put on top. That is what is happening in your country right now. What are you going to do about it? The communists are taking over your country. They've cultified the children. They've cultified the Democrat Party. This is what is happening to your country. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? What are the history books going to say? What are they going to say when they talk about you? Are they going to say, when your name comes up, are they going to say, yeah, they were there. They said something. They did something about it. Or is the history books going to say, well, they knew what was going on and they just decided to, lay down? Because that's where we're at. And yes, we absolutely do have to pray. We absolutely do have to pray. Yeah. Let's finish this up. So disturbing.
Trans women, like how you take any actual woman in this room? In what way do you know that you belong in the same category as them?
I know because they tell me. So here was
You need them to tell you what you are?
Women. Yes. I trust the opinions of the women around me.
And if most women...
It's incredible. You might try it sometime.
If most women voted and said they don't see you as a woman, would you say, I'm not a woman anymore?
If who?
If most women voted and said they don't see you as a woman anymore, would you then relent and say, I'm not a woman?
I would say most people on the planet have no idea who I am.
Oh, you sound like a man to me right there. You really, you scared me. I would, whoa. Your wig is not helping you, boo. Your wig ain't helping, okay? Because you sounded like I'm a man. You sound like a whole man. You're really not fooling anybody. You really did scare me. You really did scare me. Oh my goodness gracious. It's just insanity. It's just insanity. Ike says, does white supremacy exist? Can men be women and women can men be women and women be men? Does that exist? Is that real? Answer that question for me first. This man is crazy. This man has lost all sense of logic and reason. And these are the kind of people that will be in leadership if we don't turn this thing around. Lady Phoenix says, I'm dying on this hill, plain and simple. I'm right there with you. I don't care if I have to eat bread and potatoes. I'm not. You cannot make me change my mind. I don't think we need to be scared. We absolutely do not need to be scared. We need to pray. We need to use our voices. It is more of us than it is of them. Yes, gender dysphoria is a mental illness. It is a mental illness. However, there are people that legitimately have the mental illness, and then there are people now who have been indoctrinated into the cult. They don't really have mental illness. They actually believe this stuff because they think it's real. They think it's the right. They think it's something that it's a social construct. Oh, I can just be a man. I'm born a woman, but I can just be a man. Why? Because I say so. There are no biological differences. Oh my gosh. 2 + 2 = 4 is white supremacy. That is the rabbit hole we're disappearing into. Right. That's right. It's in style to be trans. I said the good thing is we have a beautiful woman standing up, defending and bringing stories like this to the forefront. Thank you so much, Eglin. Does white supremacy exist? Yes, white supremacy exists. Now what? Okay, so what? White supremacy exists. And it's not affecting my life. It's probably not affecting your life. Okay, well, it exists. I think it's dying on a vine. The few white supremacists and racist people that are there. I don't think white people really thinking about other people. I think they're trying to survive themselves. That's what I think. I don't think ain't nobody thinking about you. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, nobody's thinking about you. Well, it does elevate the straight white man to the top of the Crenshaw oppression pyramid. Any other questions, Em? Any other questions? Hey, Sergio, Rita says women have to stand against this nonsense, or Title IX was for nothing. Absolutely. That's why I'm so shocked that more women aren't like just vehemently coming against this stuff. Yes, many evils exist. This is something else that I say. Thank you, MK. I always say this. It's a lot of sin. White supremacy, racists, murderers, liars, gossipers. It's a lot. Why is the one, people being racist, why is that one the one that everybody has to go and freak out about? Oh my God, there was a racist person today, so I gotta go march, I gotta go riot, I gotta go do all of this stuff. Okay, well, people were murdered. I didn't see you marching and protesting about that. Black people murdered by other Black people. I don't see no protest about that. Why wouldn't say that when Roland asked you that? I did. I've always said that there are racist people. Oh my God, Roland Martin. Oh my God, who gives a freak about Roland? Roland Martin is a paid overseer on the plantation, okay? He does not really care about Black people. Roland Martin is a blessed Jesus. Roland Martin would screw you over to go get a check. Let me deal with this. Let me deal with this for a second. People like Roland Martin, people like Joy Reid, people like Sonny Houston, people like Whoopi Goldberg, people like LeBron, all of these Black people that have somehow made it through the sea of oppression, racism, white supremacy. They've made it over. They have somehow made it over the hill of racism in America. My God. They done sang, "We Shall Overcome." They done sang the songs. They done marched the march. They have overcome. And then they look back and they tell you, you can't make it. You should be pissed off. That's what you should be, M. You should be pissed off that somebody would have the audacity to look Black people in the eye. I'm just specifically to Black people, because we seem to be the ones always complaining about this nonsense while everybody else is coming over here and doing what they got to do in America. I don't know why the wealthiest Black people in the whole entire world complain the most about racism. I don't understand it. All types of evil exist. Racist, white supremacist. We live in a fallen world. The question is, are you going to let that control your life? That's the question. Are you going to be held up by what somebody else thinks about you? I don't know about you, but my God told me that my skin color had become an idol in my life, and that either you believe what he said about me in the book, or what the world says about me. Now, what he says about me, he says, I made you more than a conqueror. What he says about me, he says that I give you dominion over this earth. What he says about me is that if God be for you, who can be against you? What he says about me is that all this up and through here is mine, and I can have what I want. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? You are the person, M. I'm talking M. Ike. You. I hope you're still listening. You are the person who thinks that white people are better than you. You put them on the pedestal, because I don't think that just because you happen to have less melanin than me, or you got more melanin or whatever, that don't make me no, never mind. I really don't care. I don't let people have that much control over my life. You think they are better than you. You have bought into this idea that you can't do nothing and you can't, succeed because, white people have an existence. I don't believe that. I believe in looking at people for who they are, what they do, how they treat me. Some people are just buttholes and they happen to be white. Some people are buttholes and they happen to be Black. They happen to be Hispanic. They happen to be Asian. Buttholes, people who are just mean and nasty, they have no respect of person. Do you really think the enemy, Satan, the devil himself, gives a dog on what your skin color is? He will use whomever he wishes. Whomever. He doesn't care. It's you that have put the fortitude behind skin color. It is not important. It's going in the dirt. So now the guy over here, he's talking about, you're wrongly to assume that I support any of those people. I'm still trying to figure out your answers to the question that makes America great. What makes America great is because America was started on an idea that you can come here and get whatever you want. You can come here and you don't have to be ruled by the king. Well, why don't you go read some history? That's why America was needed and necessary. That's what makes America great. go? Why don't you go? Since you don't, if you don't think America should exist, go live under it's still kings and stuff out there. Go pack it up and go find you a king to rule over you. Because that's what was popping before America existed. Go find you a king, go find you one of those, go find you somebody who doesn't have a constitution like what we have. It's plenty of them out there. It's you can go to Canada, you can go to China. Why don't you go to China and let the government have complete and utter control over you? You should go do that. Thank you, Mr. Harden. Thank you. There are plenty of other options outside of America. Go find you one of them. Go find you one. It's plenty. You can go to Cuba. You can go to North Korea. You can go to Saudi Arabia. You can the world is yours, sir. Go find you a place. Since America was never great, you don't like it, it sucks, it's mean to Black people, and you can't do anything while you're here, go find you somewhere else. Because honestly, we're sick and tired of people like you and the way that y'all think. Let me get up off of this thing. Thank you guys so much for watching. What makes America great is that you can complain as much as you want without any repercussions. Not many countries give that option. Absolutely. Go to China and see if you can talk trash about the government. We won't ever hear from you again. Keisha, what were we when we're brought over here? You keep mentioning God. What do you mean? What were we? I don't even know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. What were we? Instagram, my phone is about to die, so I'm going to see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. I love you for watching. Thank you. Make sure you follow. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. However, we're not slaves anymore. Facts. Was America great in 1950? Yeah, Black people were doing extremely well in 1950. You might want to go and check your history, and not that NAACP stuff, and that, go look at what Black people were doing. The families that were still together, the businesses that were thriving, the communities that were thriving in 1950. Black people were doing well. Look, white people were over there, Black people were over there. I don't want to hear this nonsense about yeah, definitely. But it's good to get these, they are a troll, but it's good to get these these ideas out here. Yes, our people were doing great. Yes, we were. Black people were doing extremely well until we bought into the idea that we needed the state to function. And now look. Now you got people like Mike coming on here. Oh, white person, please, sir, please, more porridge here. Please give me some more of your stuff. Oh, gosh, I'm so over it. I'm so over it. I think we could get enough people together to find you a country and ship you off to. I think enough of us coming together, we might just pay for it. Just get them all together and just ship them off. Since y'all hate it, just go. Let's see. Dwayne Harden says this country gives more than any country. It's up to you to win your own destiny. That is right. It is up to you. That's America. We the people. It's you doing what you need to do. It's you having accountability, you having responsibility, you providing for your family, for the life that you want to have, you and your progeny. That's what this thing is all about. If you don't want to do that, I highly suggest you go and find you somewhere else to live, because quite frankly, we're tired of your nonsense. And on that note, everyone, I wish they would hear us and understand. First, it requires listening and critical thinking. Very well said. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.